many of you have already set your goals for 2015? Okay, about 3. How many of you are thinking about setting your goals for 2015? Okay, that's encouraging. And how many of you have already given up? Okay, not so many. Today I wanted to share with you about 3 tips on overcoming the most common challenges in goal setting. I also want to help you to identify your top 3 passions or goals for this year. And most importantly, I want you guys to feel excited about setting your goals for 2015. Are you guys ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, why do people set goals in the first place? What do you think? Any ideas? To know where they're going? To become better. To accomplish something. Actually, they've done studies that show that people who actually set and write down their goals, they achieve 9 times more than those people who don't. I don't know how they figure that out, but the point is, they're more productive, right? But just by looking at the audience, I know also from personal experience that it's not easy to set goals. And that's why today I want to cover the 3 most common challenges and then figure out how we can help you do that. So the first most common challenge is actually fear itself. The fear of failure. This is probably the biggest enemy to you and achieving your goals. You know, when I was recently, I decided that I wanted to go into public speaking and become a professional speaker. So I actually decided to do a fun campaign and ask people for support to achieve that goal. And you know, even for me, it was scary. I was worried. It's like I'm putting myself out there. I don't know if anyone will donate, and then you know, it's scary. So how do we deal with this fear? With anything that we try to do, something new, become better, how do you deal with that fear? Well, one tip on how to deal with fear is to look at it differently. See fear as an opportunity to learn. In fact, the most successful people in society are people who have failed the most. Because they didn't see or let fear hold them back. They actually use it as a fuel, an opportunity to constantly learn about themselves. So even when I was setting up this crowdfunding campaign, I told myself, you know, let's just have fun with this. Let's see what works, what doesn't. And you know, someone may donate, maybe no one will donate, but you know what, at least I learned how to use this fun campaign. So the first tip in setting goals is really overcome fear by seeing it as an opportunity to grow. Now the second challenge to goal setting that I've noticed is that people are busy, too busy. I was actually at a workshop last week in Camp Shahapa, and I was giving a seminar on goal setting. And one of the participants, he said, yeah, you know, I know it's important to set goals, but I just became a dad, I have a full-time job, and it's just not urgent. You know, changing the diaper is more urgent than setting my goals. So I thought about that, and I was like, yeah, actually, most of us, we're busy with our lives. In fact, we're so busy kind of living life the way it's been dealt to us that we don't actually take the time to figure out what we really want. In fact, you know, even the whole culture of retirement, the concept is that you work your butt off for 65 years or 40 years, and then you can start to enjoy your life. Does this sound good to you? All right. Why should we wait till we're about to die to figure out how we want to live? Right? So, what I want you guys to do for a moment now is I want you to do something I call the death exercise. The deathbed exercise. I want you to close your eyes just for a moment. Imagine that for whatever reason, you find yourself on your deathbed today. Yeah, kind of sucks. Imagine you can't really do anything about it, and think about what are some regrets that you have. You can open your eyes again. And I want you to write down. You all have a sheet of paper. If you can turn to the back, a blank sheet of paper. And on the left side, I want you to write down any thoughts that came in terms of things that you would regret if you were to die today. Okay? I find that this exercise really helps to focus in on what is important to me in my life right now. Because many times we tend to take time for granted. We figure, oh yeah, it's important to talk to my dad and my parents, but I'll do that sometime later. Or it's, I've always wanted to be a musician, but right now I'm just too busy. I'm sure I'll get around to it later. But once you actually face death, and you can't take time for granted anymore, it becomes so much more clear what is important to you right now. Okay, so I want you to take a moment to write down any thoughts that come in terms of what would I regret if I were to die today? And to actually write that down. Actually my brother and sister-in-law were over this past couple of days, and we did this exercise, and we really thought through what would be something that they would regret. And one interesting thing that came up was eating great food. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. But I found it quite liberating, and he found it quite liberating that by knowing that that's one of his passions, then he can actively start looking and achieving that instead of waiting until he's retired, actually on a weekly basis schedule and have some great food. So again, it's really figuring out what's important to you. Finally, the third challenge to goal setting. This one is probably the most common, and that is motivation. Someone was sharing, MC was sharing before that, this week you see so many people in the gym. 1 month later, silent. Why is that? Why is it so hard to stay motivated with our goals? I found that the most common challenge or reason why it's hard to stay motivated is because the goals that you set aren't really your goals. There's goals that people set for you or that are expected of you. We live most of our lives doing what other people expect of us instead of really taking the time to figure out what we want. Now again, as spiritual people, you may consider, but if I think about what I want, that's too selfish. But think about it in another way. If you believe in a God, and if you believe that we as human beings are special, divine almost, created, and actually our unique strength or ability is to be able to co-create together with God. If you believe that, then it is our responsibility to figure out what it is that we want to create for our lives. Think about it. As a parent, all I want is for my kids to really find what they love to do and really pursue that with passion. If God is a parent to all of us, would he or she not want the same for all of us? Would he not want us to really figure out our unique calling, our unique strength and ability and share that with the world? That's the kind of God that I want to believe in. It's our duty to figure out what we really find passion about. Not what we're supposed to do, what really drives you. So take a moment now to write down, again on the back, what are things that you're passionate about? What are things that you lose the sense of time while doing? Think about the last time that you felt joy? What were you doing? Who were you with? Was it spending time with family? Maybe it was, eating that awesome ramen. Or maybe it was, I don't know, public speaking. For me, that's one of my passions. Passion is to be able to express and share concepts and ideas that can motivate and transform people. In fact, one of my goals this year is to become a professional speaker, a life coach, and also an author. And these are goals that I've set because I've done this exercise and I really figured out this is something I'm passionate about. Again, it doesn't have to be as grand, it just has to be you. Okay? The reason why people lose motivation in their goals is because it's not authentic. It's not something that they wanted to create. It's something that they were told that they should do or they think they should do. Okay? So, I have something here. It's called Wiser Goal Book. And this is something that after 10 years of studying and training myself and others in goal setting, I put together a workbook to help people set and achieve their goals. As I mentioned earlier, this is my passion. I want to help as many people as possible set and achieve their goals. So, just have one question. Who among you would be interested in having this? A workbook to guide? Yeah? Would you like it?
Yes.
Who wants it? Who wants it? Who wants it? Oh, what's this guy? Let's give him a hand. Yeah, let's give him a hand. Yeah. So, now what did he do that most of us didn't? He took a chance. He took action. Yes, there's the fear. Oh wait, if I stand up, I might make a fool of myself. Right? But if you see life as an opportunity to learn and just take action towards your gut, you're going to accomplish so much more in your life. Let's not have fear hold us back in pursuing our goals. Let's not live according to what other people expect of us. Let's really live our lives, co-create our lives, become the drivers of our life instead of passengers. And really make 2015 our best year yet. God bless you and I wish you the best. Let's make 2015 awesome.